The first time I worked on Law and Order was probably 1996-ish. I was nervous, but all excited, bright-eyed like a kid on the first day of school. There's not much shooting in New York City at that time, and Law and Order was one of the only games in town. Anyway, we're in a section of the squad room, and everything is dingy, gritty, and tan. The somberness of the scene engulfs the set. Everyone's serious and speaks in hushed tones like we're at a funeral. The second AD, in charge of placing background actors, gives me my direction. I'll cue you. When I do, go over to the water cooler, get some water. Just watch me. The scene begins. The AD cues me. I cross to the water cooler, pull out a paper cup, and proceed to fill it with water. But when I press the lever, the cooler forms this huge bubble and makes the loudest. The first AD yells, "Cut!" Everything stops. "You're fired. First day on Law and Order. You're so fired. Sylvia Fay." Yeah, Sylvia Fay is this notorious casting director who hired me. "Sylvia Fay will kill you. You'll never work again." Oh my God. Except for Darth Vader ranting in my head, there's complete silence for what feels like an eternity. I don't dare breathe. Then the director, who I found out later is Constantine Macris or Gus, starts laughing. He goes, "Hey, what the hell was that? That sounds like we're in a bathroom." This breaks the tension. Everyone has a huge laugh. Everyone except me. I'm mortified. My water cooler antics destroyed the take. I walk back to my starting position, or back to one, as I discover it's referred to in set lingo. I apologize to the AD. "I'm so sorry. I'm used to doing theater, and in theater we actually do things." He's cool. "Just don't do it again." "Don't worry." Thus begins my illustrious relationship with Dick Wolf's Law and Order franchise. I worked on Law and Order in one form or another for close to a dozen years. The original Law and Order premiered in 1990. I started doing background on the mothership, as she's called, in 1996. That job evolved into standing in for the medical examiner and being cast as a grieving mother twice, first as Roberta Miller in Slaughter, and then as Megan Goddard in Bodies. I was also a member of the Corps on Deadline, also a Dick Wolf production, which flatlined after 3 episodes. Corps, if you don't know, are just a group of actors that are selected to be regulars on a show. So every time we're in the newsroom, I was there. When Deadline was canceled, I was moved to Corps on Law and Order Criminal Intent. I also worked on SVU in the squad room and stood in from time to time on there as well. So the Law and Order franchise has been my family, my security blanket, and my bread and butter forever. No matter what happened, I had Law and Order. But somewhere around the 6th, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it was the 7th season of working on Criminal Intent as a Corps detective in the squad room, I'm waiting to receive my call from casting with my instructions on when to report to set for the new season. But when the casting director calls, she sounds upset. "Jill, I don't know how to say this. They've decided not to use you this season. Wait, what? Did I do something wrong? They told me they love you, but you're too old. Oh my God, I feel like I've been sucker punched. I can feel the tears coming. Don't cry. Don't cry. Thank you so much for being honest with me. I'm so sorry, Jill. It's okay. It's not your fault. I don't know why I'm crying. It's for the best. I've worked on one Law and Order show or another for the past dozen years. I guess it's time to move on. Thank you for telling me. I really appreciate it. Better things are coming, Jill. Yes, I believe that. I'm putting on a strong front, but I'm shook. Discriminating against someone because of age is illegal. There's a federal law, the Age Discrimination in Employment Act of 1967. This law protects individuals 40 years of age and older from being treated unfairly in the workplace due to their age. It applies to employers with 20 or more employees. The Law and Order franchise employs thousands of people, cast, crew, writers, blah, blah, blah. I'd always heard women were aged out of the business, but I thought that was in Hollywood, not New York. New York is different. Well, I was wrong. Yeah, I hung up the phone and sobbed. Now what? I, I need that job. You're going to be homeless. You don't have a husband anymore. Your parents are dead. If you don't work, you don't eat. I know. I know. Don't you think I know that? After all I did for them? Like the time I saved a shot by letting them know the poster was wrong? And what about the times I said no to other work, even when it paid more, because I was loyal to them? And all the times I went out on location with them and stood in at the last minute and worked until 3 a.m. What about that? Remember the movie, The First Wives Club? Three college friends reunite over the death of a fourth friend and discover they've all been dumped by their husbands for younger women. Yeah, what's that joke? Oh, there are only three ages for women in Hollywood: babe, assistant district attorney, and driving Miss Daisy. So, at the ripe old age of 55, I've reached the driving Miss Daisy stage. Then I discovered all the core males in the squad room, all around my same age, were not aged out. They're still working on the show. Apparently, the ratings started slipping, and production decided what they really needed were women in their 20s and 30s in short skirts and high heels working in the squad room. A week passes. I get a call from Criminal Intent Casting. Didn't they just fire me? Hi, Jill. I'm wondering, are you available to work on Criminal Intent tomorrow? Uh, I, I'm sorry. I'm not allowed to work there. Oh, no, you won't be in the squad room. You'll be at an airport in Vietnam. I guess that ought to be far enough away. It's ridiculous. The following day, I show up at the Javits Center on 12th Avenue, where their faux Vietnam airport is set up. I'm nervous. I'm going to run into all the people I know from the show, the cast, the crew. It's embarrassing. I stand outside eating my oatmeal from the food truck, stalling as long as I can until it's time to check in. At some point during the morning, I'm standing in my position online with my small black wheelie suitcase to check in with the pretend ticket taker. The AD calls Kathryn Erbe, Vincent D'Onofrio. You're needed on set. Katie descends down the escalator. She spots me, waves, and comes running over, grabs me, gives me a big hug. Jill, it's so great to see you. Where have you been? Ah, I'm not allowed to work in the precinct anymore. I'm too old. What? Are you serious? Kathryn Erbe, you're needed on set. Listen, we'll talk at lunch. During our lunch break, I tell her my saga, and she calls Vincent over and has me repeat my saga to him. Vincent is nonplussed. Well, maybe Jill doesn't want to work on the show anymore. Well, the difference between you and me, Vincent, you're paid a huge salary. I, on the other hand, need the money. Katie gives me her phone number. Think about it. Call me if you want to work on the show. I love Kathryn Erbe. She's an amazing human being. She always takes the time to say hello and treats everyone with respect, which is not always the case in show business. I think about her offer for a couple of days, and what I think is, bottom line, I need the money. So against my better judgment, I swallow my pride, call Katie, and leave a message. Katie, I'd so appreciate working on the show again, but only if it's not going to jeopardize you or cause any trouble in any way. Thanks so much. In the meantime, I write a letter to the head producer expressing my gratitude at working on the show for as long as I did and how the show enabled me to get my health care and pension credit for 6 years. A few days later, I get a call from Principal Casting of Law and Order Criminal Intent. I'm being brought in to read for the part of a librarian. I don't book the job, but I guess my letter had an impact. A few more days pass before I get a call from background casting. Jill, you're being reinstated on the show. Really? Yes, but only on Katie's episodes. Okay. Well, by this time, the shooting schedule's so strenuous that Katie and Vincent are splitting episodes. They each do every other show. It's more than a little strange going back to a place that got rid of me. But I show up, and sure enough, the moment I step on set, one of the crew guys I know really well starts laughing. Uh-oh, here comes Jill. Trouble. There go the ratings. Yeah, I'm mortified. I try to give a pithy comeback. Yes, it's amazing how much power I have. I can make or break a show. Ugh, but I'm humiliated, sick to my stomach. I'm like Harry Potter who has to sleep under the stairs. I finish out the season and in July of 2007 head to Cape May, New Jersey to do the world premiere of my solo play, Lizzie Borden Live. I was commissioned to write the play by the Eastland Theater Company. I'm doing a 6-week equity run down there. Power switches hands again. The casting office that handles criminal intent changes. I get a call from the new casting person to give me my call time instructions for the first episode of the new season. Oh, yeah, I'm I'm terribly sorry, but I'm out of town performing my play. I'm not available until September. Well, be sure and call me when you get back to the city. Let me know when you're available. Everyone has an attitude. These people can throw some shade. When I return to the city, I don't call. I just, nah, I couldn't. My problem is I'm loyal to a fault. So the universe usually has to kick me out. I got kicked out of Law and Order. I got kicked out of my marriage. I got kicked out of my color forecasting job. I got kicked out because I refused to leave on my own, even when I knew I should. Sometimes we need to let go of the old to allow something new to come in. Once I had the courage to let go of criminal intent, it opened up a space for other things. Besides performing Lizzie Borden live in New Jersey, New York, Arizona, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island, I booked a national Verizon commercial, which is a godsend. Ka-ching. I had a long and illustrious relationship with the Dick Wolf franchise. I rose through the ranks from extra work on the mothership to standing in to being core on two of his shows and graduated to doing principal roles. Remember the director, Constantine Macris, aka Gus, who laughed when I ruined his scene by the of the water cooler? Well, when I was standing in for the medical examiner on Law and Order, he complimented me. We always had to read the lines, even though SAG says you're not supposed to, whatever. So we rehearsed the scene, and Gus goes, Jill, that sounded great. Really? Hmm. I have no idea what any of those medical terms mean. Well, you never know. Shortly thereafter, he brought me in to audition. On my third try, I booked my first grieving mother. He brought me in again, and I booked another grieving mother. To this day, I still receive residuals. Law and Order was very good to me. Thanks for watching, you guys. Thanks for being here. I just really appreciate all your love and support of the channel. And if you haven't already, please like, subscribe. It's free. Hit the notification button. Leave your comments and questions below. I love reading and responding to them. And I want to give a special shout out to everyone who bought me a coffee. Our special thanks, JP Page. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And to all my monthly subscribers, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. It really helps the channel and it means the world to me. All right, let's see. I have a couple of questions for you guys. Here they go. All right. Have you ever lost a job because of something unfair or discriminatory? If you were in my shoes, would you have gone back after being aged out? Who's your favorite Law and Order actor or character? Okay, I got some interesting comments this week, which I thought I would look at. Okay, this is funny. From David G. He says, great story, reminds me of when I was a picture car driver, lots of drama. I don't mean on screen. That is so true. My friend Jack and I used to always say, no, we used to say they should turn the cameras around because the most interesting things are happening off camera. Oh my God, the drama. It was always something. Okay, this is really funny. This is from Russell B. He said that he overheated a shredding machine and it caught fire. The temp company called and said, go home, Russell, just go home. Oh yeah, because he was working at he said, I almost set the Chrysler building on fire. And then he said, I used this pattern in my last cabaret show, as it is such an amusing story from my life. Well, that's the deal. These crazy things that happen to us that feel so tragic at the time, when we get perspective on them, they're usually pretty hilarious. I think it was Richard Pryor who said, tragedy plus timing equals comedy. That makes a lot of sense. So thank you, Russell. I'm glad you didn't burn it down. What else? Oh, this is from the Mrs. Pop Rocks. Poe, my cat, and I watch every Sunday. Awesome. Thank you for that. And give Poe some scratches. They like it, little head scratches for me. I love that. I love that name, Poe. Okay, this was from Brennan. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Said, I've seen Robin Williams many times, and I always cry when his name is mentioned, even now. I'm glad you got to work with him, Jill. Thanks for the wonderful stories. You know, I cry too over Robin Williams. Yeah, he was such a good soul. He and Christopher Reeves were roommates at Juilliard. And when Christopher Reeves had his accident, the healthcare cost millions and millions of dollars, and Robin Williams paid for most of it. Also, I went to see Robin Williams on Broadway in a play called The Bengal Tiger at the Baghdad Zoo. It was such a fantastic play. It was the theater was half empty, and he was so brilliant. And at intermission, I turned around, the entire balcony was empty, and I said to the guy next to me, what do you think about this play? And he said, this play is freaking amazing. I said, yeah. And what do you think about Robin Williams? He said, he's freaking brilliant. I said, yeah. And hello, nobody's here. It was really, I think it was a subject matter, perhaps, but the play was so brilliant, and he was brilliant. Love you, Robin Williams. And I want to thank Time Runner for the suggestion that there is this vitamin that's really good for a vitamin complex. I guess she's a nurse. And so she wants me to, it's like a multivitamin for your eyes. And she wants me to clear it with my doctor first. But she says it's over the counter, and it's called Preserve Vision. I'm going to look into that. I'm supposed to go see my doctor soon. All right, what else? Okay, I got some flack from the last video because I did some political stuff at the end, which, if you don't want to watch that, you don't have to watch it. Yeah, I got a great comment from I want to be alone. What a great, that is a great title. Great handle. Is that what it's called? Anyway, I love that. But anyway, he says, I don't know. It could be a woman. She says, she, he, they says, I think it's a she. I told her, well, that I was getting some pushback from it. But I got a lot of positive feedback too. And she was like, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. And she said, maybe consider having another channel. She said, I'll still be here no matter what you decide. So I have to think about that because I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. But let me know in the comments what you think about that idea. There's so many, I mean, it would have to be, I don't know what it would have to be. Honestly, I don't know. But anyway, you guys, I've talked enough. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. We're waiting for the little hurricane. Erin, is that who it is? It's starting to a little bit in New York City. We're having rain, a little bit of wind out there, not a lot, but we'll see what happens. Thank you so much for being here. I love you guys, and I will see you next week. Mwah. Okay. Take care, you guys. Stay safe out there.